To stay up to date with the latest tech, please hit subscribe followed by the bell. You can also keep up on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter by clicking the links in the description. So today we've got plenty of updates for the Apple iPhone 13 series, including specs and design. We now know it's going to be bigger and better than before. Before we get started though, please like the video if you're an Apple fan and let me know in the comments what feature or hardware you most want to see in the iPhone 13. So first story of the day is that Apple have invested a further $45 million into Corning, who of course make protective glass not only used by Apple but most smartphone companies. Last year, Apple and Corning collaborated for the iPhone and they created the new ceramic shield, and many are wondering if this $45 million could be for a new collaboration for the iPhone 13. Well, the short answer is no. An investment at this stage would probably be too late for the iPhone 13, so while not impossible, it's not very likely. That's not to say that we won't get anything new, but I highly believe that they'll stick with ceramic shield for this year on the iPhone 13. If anything, it's most likely that this is to help with Apple's folding phone that's rumored to be coming in 2023, but Apple didn't disclose how Corning were going to utilize their investment. Now next up, for those of you that are excited for the iPhone 13, we've got great news on the release. Given the chip shortage, it seems everything is delayed across the whole of tech, and we told you before that the iPhone 13 would not be affected as much, and it doesn't look like it will be. Apple is a big client for many companies, so they're going to be prioritized where possible, and Foxconn, who actually assemble the iPhones, is taking measures to ensure that it all happens on time. They're now looking for new recruits and offering bonuses and pay rises for staff to be working more, and while Foxconn would not comment on why they're doing this, it's very likely to be preparation for the iPhone 13 assembly. Now next up, it's time to talk about Touch ID for the iPhone 13, as it's quite often asked down in the comments. Now everyone has been missing Touch ID, and it was widely thought that it would make a return last year, but it didn't, so now we think it's coming in the iPhone 13. Now news on Touch ID has been very light on the ground lately, and I'm trying to find out for you guys, but currently hearing nothing to say either way. For Apple, now would be the best time to bring it back, and we've had reliable leakers such as Love to Dream tell us it's happening, and no one has since backtracked. I am still hopeful, as no one's saying that it's not coming, but we're also yet to have any solid information that says it is, but I'll keep you guys posted if anything new comes in. Now next up, we've got more news that the iPhone 13 models are going to be bigger and better than the predecessor. They're going to be slightly thicker than last year's models, and they're also going to have larger and thicker camera bumps, although the lenses themselves will protrude less. When we say thicker, there's also nothing to worry about, as the Pro models are expected to be 7.57mm, and that's up from the previous 7.4, so we're only talking at 0.17mm. The camera bumps are going to see bigger increases, with the Pro going up to 3.65mm thick, but the main change is in the camera bump, and this is to stop the lenses from protruding out. They actually want the lenses to be sitting flush in the camera housing, and I think this will work much better. The reason it's all going to be bigger is of course because of upgrades. We're expecting camera upgrades across the whole range with the sensor shift stabilization, as well as this being expanded to multiple cameras in the Pro models. The overall thickness in the device could be for multiple reasons, from display panels to batteries, so we're not going to speculate here, but it's nice to see some change, and I'm really hoping for at least a small increase in capacity. There are also rumors of the M1 coming to power the iPhone 13. While it seems like a good move, I just don't see it happening, at least yet. Apple have shown that they can put the M1 chipset inside anything they like, and the M1 iPad Pro is actually 50% faster than previous generations after early benchmark results. My thoughts are that it's not going to happen, at least yet. The A chip is already very powerful and maybe even too much for a phone, so I think putting an M1 chip inside a smartphone would be a little bit overkill and just drive up price unnecessarily. That being said, Apple are full of surprises also, so it could happen, maybe not in the iPhone 13 but for a future iPhone, and I guess if Apple only have one chip to fabricate across the whole of their range, then it could see some cost reduction overall. Whatever happens though, the iPhone 13 is looking incredible, and it's the phone that I wanted to see last year. With the updated chipset, cameras and 120Hz displays, it's really going to be incredible. If we also get the Touch ID, then I think many fans are going to be happy, but if we don't, then I don't think it's going to prevent any purchases. But for those of you that are excited, we're now going to run through the specs, design and the expected pricing for the whole of the iPhone 13 range. For my regular viewers, you guys have seen this, so just skip to the next video, but if you're new here, then make sure you hit subscribe and we'll get right into it. So to start us off with, we've got the entry-level model, the iPhone 13 mini. Although there were low sales on the predecessor, reports suggest that we're still going to see a 13 mini, but it may be the last time. Now the iPhone 13 mini is a 5.4-inch phone with an OLED Super Retina display. It's expected to have a resolution of 2340 by 1080, and this will give us 465 pixels per inch. We only get a 60Hz display on the mini, but we still get a thinner notch with the cool speaker moved to the top. With Apple continuing to prove that huge amounts of RAM are just not required, it should be equipped with 4 gigs of RAM and a choice of 64, 128 or 256 storage. We're expecting another aluminium frame to reduce cost, but the body will look similar to that of the Pros. Of course, we get the selfie camera on the front, and the iPhone 13 mini comes with a dual camera setup on the rear. This is going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and the layout has changed slightly with the lenses now diagonal to each other, and it will of course ship with iOS 15. Now for those of you that want the 4 gig RAM with 64 gig storage, it's likely launching at a price of $700. For 128 gig, it's going to be around $750, and for 256, it will be around $850. Now next up, we've got the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 is going to have a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of around 2532 by 1170, giving us 460 pixels per inch. Again, we only get a 60Hz display and no LTPO technology, but we do get a reduced notch up top. We expect 4 gigs of RAM along with a choice of 64, 128 or 256 gig storage, and the iPhone 13 is going to have an aluminium frame. We're expecting a 12 megapixel wide angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, giving us a dual camera setup, and the iPhone will of course ship with iOS 15. For the 64 gig model, it's expected to be $800, for the 128 it's $850, and for the 256 it's $949. Next up, we've got the iPhone 13 Pro coming with some big improvements over the predecessor. The iPhone 13 Pro is expected to come with a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2532 by 1170, and this gives us 460 pixels per inch. It's not only going to be brighter, but it's also going to be using LTPO technology and provide us with a 120Hz variable refresh rate, and it's still going to be capable of 120Hz at its full resolution. The A15 is more than capable with iOS, so we expect them to stay with 6 gigs of RAM, and it's going to come with a choice of 128, 256, 512, and maybe even 1 terabyte of storage. Because this is the more premium model, we're expecting a still frame on the iPhone 13 Pro, and of course we're getting a quad camera setup. This is going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 12 megapixel telephoto, and of course the additional LiDAR scanner. The phone will of course ship with iOS 15. When it comes to pricing, we expect some small price increases with the new display technology, so we're estimating for 128 gig it's going to be $1,050, for 256 gig it's going to be $1,150, for 512 it's going to be $1,350, and if there is a 1 terabyte version, it's likely to be around $1,500. Now finally, we've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is coming with a 6.7-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2278 by 1128, giving us 458 pixels per inch. Again, it's going to be a brighter display using LTPO technology and provide us with a 120Hz variable refresh rate at its full resolution. We can expect 6 gigs of RAM, a choice of 128, 256 and 512 storage, and if the leaks are true, then we could see 1 terabyte. Because this is the most premium model, we expect another still frame on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and we're also getting a quad camera setup. Again, it's going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 12 megapixel telephoto, along with the additional LiDAR sensor. The phone will of course ship with iOS 15. When it comes to pricing, we expect some small price increases with the new technology, so for 128 gig it's likely to be around $1,150, for 256 it's going to be $1,250, for 512 it could be around $1,450, and if 1 terabyte happens we could see something huge like $1,600. So that's it for the whole iPhone 13 series. The launch is expected to be in September, and although there have been many delays across the industry this year, reports suggest that the iPhone 13 is not affected. While no date has been confirmed yet, it's likely to be the 14th of September, so it's not too much longer to wait. Of course, as always, I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Who out there is excited for the iPhone 13 and what feature do you want to see the most? But thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, smash the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down twice, and I'll see you guys in the next one.